Howdy everybody, and welcome back to the GMS mobile RPG tutorial. Just a quick reminder, we have the 1-bit Godot course, $11,913, 4 days to go. So you're guaranteed to get a course, so get in there while the pricing is still good. And if you are interested in Godot just in general, make sure you follow Heartbeast mobile RPG tutorial on his YouTube channel. Real quick here, and we're up to part 5 here, and we're going to be going over part 3 for the most part here today. So anyways, let's get cracking. Last time well, not last time, but the very first episode, we created a object rat. Gave him a little bit of code so we could actually see him and see his HP, but we haven't really done very much with him. So let's expand on our rat, our enemy object today. We're going to give him some animation and some other things to make him look and attack and set him up so that later on, once we put in action points for our player, we can actually start doing turn-based battles. You may have noticed that not all the code is exactly the same as the Godot tutorial. After all, Game Maker doesn't have all the same capabilities as Godot, so we just have to make do in some cases. One of the things he does is with the rat, he's able to make animations on the fly in Godot by moving around the picture and setting up keyframes and stuff, but unfortunately you can't really do that in Game Maker, so I've created a system that you can use instead that will give you about the same effect, except it's not visually set up. To get us started, we need to go back to our scripts, and we're going to make a macros script here. Why are we going to make this? Because it gives us the capability to, well, mostly for this macro right here, SIC, game_get_speed, game speed FPS. Because we use this a lot when setting up timers and animations, because we want to have things go over like 1 second, and I'd rather not have to type out this every single time I want to do 1 second. So you start off with this little line, GML pragma, and set to global and macros. Tell it to run the macro script. Make sure you add in the colons. I mean, not colons, the parentheses. This will tell the macro script to be run at the beginning of the game. And this is a great place to put things that you want to have declared before anything else. That way everything can access it properly without crashing. So macros like sec, enums like this, turn, we're going to use turn, player, and enemy, global.turn, turn.player, and of course draw_set_font, font game. And we can use that. Actually, if you got instances of draw set font, we can just kill that. That way we don't have to set the font all over the place anymore. Let's see, what can we do next here? We got our macro script in place, and just for the record, everything we're going to do here today for the object rat is done over here in the parent for the most part. Yeah, everything literally is done in the parent. So we're going to set up some states. So currently the rat only has a little bit of HP. So let's give him some states. Enemy_states will be attack and defend. And we'll actually add a step event as well here. User_event, no, event_user, always get that backwards, state_, and we'll give a variable state_ is equal to enemy_states dot defend. That way we start off with in the defending state. So that way it's the player's turn. And we're going to have to add in some user events here. So other, user event 0, other, user event 1. These are for the states. Defend state. Attack state. Yeah, good. All right. That should be good to get us going. So now we have some states set up for our enemy. We need to start giving it. So let's just real quick here check this. Just move that there. That's mostly for me. And all the draw stuff is exactly the same, and all of this stuff is exactly the same. Nothing's going to change in the draw. It'll all draw exactly the same. And the step event is done. So everything is going to be handled in the events now. So let's give it some things to do. We want to animate the... So if we were to watch the Godot tutorial, he shows us how to make the rat object shake around when it is attacked, and when it attacks, it sort of jumps up and then attacks down very fast. So we are going to come over here to the defense state, since that's the state our rat starts in, and we'll give it some stuff to do. We are going to want to give it a damage shake. So let's go over here. We're going to need a timer, shake underscore timer underscore, and you could do this with the built-in alarm system, but I wanted to do it with my own variables. That way you can set up a pause system that'll work much more efficiently than using the built-in timers. Shake timer should be equal to -1. Now, if you've watched my Chip and Dale tutorials, you'll recognize how this animation system works from the throwing state and the ducking state in the in the player object in Chip and Dale. So we're going to go with a shake timer here, and if shake underscore timer underscore is greater than -1, do something and do some other things. So let's see, check for death. We can do this real quick actually easily. If HP underscore is less than or equal to 0, then dead underscore is equal to true. Reason for a dead variable is because later on you can do further animations with the enemy object to help show that it's dead, like in Final Fantasy, how the object shakes violently and then it turns red and then fades out of existence. So this would be a way to signal to start those kind of animations, but we're not going to be putting those in right now. And instance underscore destroy, so that would cause our object to disappear when we are dead. Actually, we're going to come back down to our attack, to our parent button. Let's see, where is it? Ah, yes, here we go. So in the parent button, when we click our attack button, we execute the user event 0 in our buttons. So actually keep going over to the attack button, and currently we have it set up so that it just takes 10 damage away from the enemy. So we are going to make it a little bit more complicated than that. For one thing, we're not going to have 10 damage, we'll just give it 5. That way we can hit our enemy a couple more times before it disappears, so we can watch the effect a little bit better. And we are going to add a bit more code here, so let's drop you down. And there we go. end. So if shake underscore timer underscore is equal to -1, so as you can know, the shake timer starts at -1. That's the same way timers work in general. They all start at -1. And state underscore is equal to enemy underscore states dot defend. Then do some stuff. The reason why we're checking to see if the state is in defend is that way when it's the enemy's turn to attack, we can't keep hitting the attack button to attack the rat more while he is attacking us. So in this case, we are going to change it from being right here. We're going to make this HP code a little bit more intelligent. So instead of just HP minus equal 5, we'll be setting it to equal to max 0 or HP minus 5. That way, the enemy's health can never go below 0. And you see this a lot in bad video games where they just never bother limiting the health from going under 0, and there'll be like a frame or two where the enemy object is displaying -50 health before it actually gets destroyed. And it's just kind of funny because it takes literally no effort at all, but apparently some people don't put in any effort at all. So shake underscore timer underscore is equal to sec times 0.2. This is where that sec macro starts paying off. 0.2 is, so we currently have 60 FPS, so this would be 60 times 0.2. So that would be 12 frames of shake that we're getting. And global.turn is equal to turn.enemy. Now, later on, when we add action points, we'll put this somewhere else where we check at the end of an action to see if the player's turns have reached 0 before we actually give the turn over to the enemy. So let's come back to our parent enemy. So now that we have the shake timer being set to something other than -1, we can actually start doing something. Let me pull up my other code. There we go. So let's add in some damage shake. Shake underscore timer underscore is equal to approach. Shake underscore timer underscore to -1 by 1. Approach is another new script we need to make. So create a script, call it approach, and paste in some code. So basically, we are saying to return the argument such that the endpoint is never overshot. And this is, if you're thinking about eases, this is a linear ease for the most part. I mean, you can make it whatever you want based on whatever you set your approach value to. But in this case, since I have it set to 1 instead of like x squared, it is a linear approach. So shake underscore timer is equal to approach. Shake timer to -1 by 1. And why are you all mad at me? Expected 0, got 3. That would be because you are silly. Let's try saving. Come on, get rid of that error. There we go. It's equal to approach shake underscore timer underscore to -1 by 1. There we go. It just sometimes it gets stuck when you create a script after actually writing it in like that. All right, so back to the rat here. If the shake timer mod 3 is equivalent to 0, so in this case we're setting up an interval so that every 3 frames it will do a shake event. And if shake underscore timer underscore is equal to -1, and do some other stuff. So every 3 frames we are going to set up a target underscore x equal to something, target underscore y underscore is equal to something. Let's go back over to our create event. Target underscore x underscore is equal to x start. We'll use that. Target underscore y underscore is equal to y start. These are the values that are working so far. We'll probably end up changing them later on, depending on how the how other animations and how we create new enemies and stuff work out. So what we want to do is take our x start plus I random underscore range. In this case, I just set -4 to 4 because it seemed like it worked well. And y start plus I random range -4 to 4. So we basically taking the position of u, finding a position that's ±4 away from where you started every 3 frames. And if the shake timer is equal to -1, target underscore x underscore is equal to x start again, target underscore y underscore is equal to y start. There we go. So once the timer ends, return to your starting position. And so now that we have a target, we need to actually have a way to move towards it. So if x does not equal target underscore x, or y does not equal target underscore y, then do something. In this case, we are going to need to calculate a direction based on the length and dir. The length and direction. So underscore dir is equal to point underscore direction xy target underscore x target underscore y underscore xx is equal to the absolute value of length dir underscore x speed underscore and underscore dir. And we should probably declare speed underscore is equal to 1. So we want to be able to move 1 pixel per frame. Back to you. Underscore yy is equal to abs length dir underscore y speed underscore dir. And x is equal to approach x target underscore x underscore xx, not triple x. We aren't Vin Diesel here. Y is equal to approach y to target underscore y by yy. There we go. That's fairly painless, I think. So if our x is currently not at the target x or target y, then move us towards that position. So if we were to try this out now, we would see the player object move around. Well, let's give it a try actually. See what happens here. Oh, there it goes. Shakes around, shakes around, shakes around, shakes around, and he's destroyed. But a enemy is only as good as his attack. So let's give him the ability to start attacking us after we attack him. So change state if shake underscore timer underscore is equal to -1. So it has to be, we can't be animate, we can't be shaking around. And not only can we not be shaking around, but we also have to have returned to, well, it also has to be the enemy's turn. So global.turn is equal to turn.enemy. And we have to have returned to our starting positions. X is equal to target underscore X underscore, and Y is equal to target underscore Y. There we go. If all that is true, then state underscore is equal to enemy underscore state dot attack. And done. So now we can actually start attacking. And here's the, well, so this is very good stuff right here. This is very useful, especially this little bit of move code here, because if we're going to be moving the sprite around, this is a great bit of code for moving stuff around fairly easily. So we're actually going to copy this because we're going to need it in the attack state here. And we need to set up, well, unfortunately we don't have a visual system for creating the keyframes to move our sprite around, so I just had to come up with this system on the fly here. So we're just going to use a system of ifs to set up what position the sprite should move towards at any given moment. And you're going to recognize this timer if you've done my Chip and Dale tutorial. Animation underscore timer underscore is ++. And come back to here. Animation underscore timer underscore is equal to -1. So next up, describe points to move towards. So we don't want our rat to start attacking immediately once it gets into the attack state, because that would look kind of choppy, having it go from moving in the shaking mode to immediately attacking us. So if animation underscore timer underscore is less than sec times 0.3, do nothing. And then else if animation underscore timer underscore is less than sec times 0.6, do some other stuff. And let's copy and paste this actually. We'll need it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 0.6, 0.7, 1.1, and this one is actually going to be copied out from right here. Again, we want to change, so this will be changing state, and again, we want to wait until we've actually returned to our target position before we actually change state. So what are we going to do here? We're going to use a couple target positions. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in. For the very first 0.6, we want to move towards y minus 3 from our x start. Then we want to move towards x minus 2 and y plus 8. Then we want to return to x start and y start. And once we have reached X start and Y start, then swap our, so reset our animation underscore timer back to -1. Don't want to forget to do that. Global.turn is equal to turn.player. And state underscore is equal to enemy underscore states dot defend. And let's get rid of all this white space. We got our moving, we got our timer. So let's try it out. There we go. We attack, he attacks. We attack, he attacks. We attack, he attacks. We attack, he attacks. We attack, he dies. And if you remember, we added in that little bit of code back with our into our attack object where it checks to make sure that the enemy actually exists before we actually run any code. That way we don't crash when we do with parent underscore enemy. So that's everything we need to know to be able to have some animations with our enemies. So next time we will be working on setting up the text boxes that are available here. So look forward to that. And remember to support your local Godot / game maker tutorial dev, both Heartbeast and well, don't forget me as well, Zim Productions, and my NES game maker tutorial series if you're interested in good old NES games. I've made replicas of Chip and Dale and Legacy of the Wizard. So Chip and Dale is a platformer and Legacy of the Wizard is an action RPG. So if you're interested, make sure you check them out. And until next time, good luck with your programming.